Wholeness, welcome to my channel. Rashida Silvertree here. I want to talk about this. I've been struggling to make a video about war for a while, quite some time. And I was going to air it out last year when there was the breakout conflict in the Middle East and also in Ukraine and Russia, but I stopped because my point of view would have been too biased. If those of you who know my path, or you watched enough of my videos and you understand my upbringing, you would have known and understood why I just said what I said about being biased. So I wanted to wait, and now I'm in the space of neutrality, meaning I'm not picking one side or the other. I'm just observing human nature, to be honest with you. War is an act, the ultimate act of blood sacrifice. There, I said it. It is a dark practice. I said it again. Okay? It is a dark, demonic practice. Now, your argument could be, well, you wouldn't be able to sit there and make this video without your forefathers and ancestors fighting and going to war. You wouldn't be able to do this or that, or this or that, or this or this. And you know what? You're probably right. Given the type of society and culture that I live in and that we all live in, you're probably very right. But this is an observation. This is me studying the psychology of human behavior. I'm not looking at it as a woman, a melanated woman, or being a woman at all, or being American, an English speaker, a first worlder, right? My nationality, my religious or spiritual beliefs or upbringing. No, this is purely a being having a human experience and seeing what is right in front of me. And my understanding of death, because I've worked with death. I've taken care of dying people, of dead people. I kid you not. So I know. I have never gone to war, but I have had loved ones who have. Disclaimer, I have my deepest respect and love and appreciation towards soldiers, our veterans. I may not agree or will ever agree with the reasons why they decided to enlist and sign up to go to war. But I respect, you know why they call them soldiers? Do you know why? Soldiers. A soldier must give a piece of his soul to protect, to defend. He must destroy a piece of his humanity to kill another man or woman or child. He must do this. That's why they go to training. They get inside their mind, they break down their psyche. They break up their sleeping patterns, their eating patterns. They retrain their subconscious mind to take an order. Yes, sir. No, sir. Without question. Boot camp. They are trained over and over and over and over and over with repetition. They are taught how to do these things. They must destroy a piece of their humanity in order to protect it. That is why I find that the greatest sacrifice. And that is why when I see them, or when I see my uncle, or when it's one of their holidays, I always say thank you for your service, because it is an act of service that does not get enough respect or appreciation in my personal opinion. I've taken care of many veterans, bedside care, people who have fought in World War II, survived World War I if they happen to be European, because I've taken care of people from overseas, move over to America, people who survived WW2, people who fought in the Korean War, all the wars in the past 200 years, really, or not 200 years, dang. But you know what I mean. Math, a little off, but still. So I always, just as a disclaimer before we get into this talk, I want to give my respect to them because I've taken care of these men and some women actually. I've taken care of these men. So why do I say that war is the ultimate blood sacrifice? Hear me out. Blood is a sacred energy that flows through our veins. Even the Christians, they don't know this, but it's very ritualistic. And I don't even think it's quite Christ-like, but they do this thing, this ritual where they imitate, they eat the bread, and it's symbolic of the body of Christ, and then they have the wine, which represents it's symbolic for the blood of Christ. I always thought that was a bit creepy, but then they look down on other, spiritual practices of other people, right? But anywho, but yeah, the body of Christ, blood of, so it's embedded in monotheistic patriarchal religions as well as matriarchal of the blood, have the sacredness of the blood. So you have blood that is through slaughter and violence. You use violence to cut open blood and, to get something in return. Usually when you're doing it, you're opening up or cutting of the veins of something, whether it's an animal or a human. You're doing that to receive something else. You're making a sacrifice of life, causing death so that you can prosper or be abundant in some way. Okay? That isn't sacred. Then you have the bleeding, natural bleeding of the womb. It's organic. It is monthly. It follows the flow of the moon. A woman's menses, once a month, every 28 days or 21 to 28 days, a woman bleeds. She doesn't have to do anything. She's not cutting open veins or arteries on anything, on any other person or any other living creature. It sheds from her. This is unused tissue for a baby who's never come. That is an organic flow of blood. That's sacred bleeding. Okay? The other is ritualistic, and it is to gain something. You have to sacrifice a life to gain something else. So keep that concept in mind. You take that same concept, and for example, I'm going to use the United States. You take that same concept, all right? And this has been an act since, for the beginning of time, right? For our humanity, Cain and Abel, right? That story of the brothers hurting and killing one another. A blood sacrifice to cause harm to another person so that you may gain abundance. You may gain something. You may gain land, property. Usually it's out of material, or it could be something to protect another person or protect yourself. If you sacrifice this person's life, then you're protected. Your lie is protected. It's always something very low. It's not of love. And we will justify and justify and justify and justify killing. I swear to you. Human beings have done this for ages. It's part of our programming, unfortunately. We justify killing another human being. Okay? So, the land, the U.S. of A. This land, there are people here before the Europeans. We all know this, okay? And even the people in this land would fight each other from time to time. Tribes, all right? It used to be one nation, and they divvied up into tribes. Hey, you did this. And they shoot their arrows, and, they go back and forth, and then the two chiefs come in the middle, and they make an agreement, and then they squash it and move on, and then there's another conflict, and then they have a little squabble. You did this, blah, blah, blah. A couple people were killed, boom. But they all believed in one thing. They would usually come to an agreement. There was no, we're going to wipe your whole tribe out. we're going to erase your lineage and your whole language and everything you ever known. No. But here come the Europeans, okay? And I'm not nitpicking on, white, black, race thing. Just follow me. This is just an example. Europeans come. Oh, shit. There's tribes. Oh my God. Oh, wow. They're savages. Look at them. They're half naked. I can't even imagine the initial meeting of two very different worlds. Can you imagine? You see a man in metal head to toe, and then you see a half naked man covered in gold and feathers in his hair. Can you imagine? That's your first time ever seeing something like that? And you're just like, whoa. So I can't. It had to be all like amazing but frightening all at the same time, right? But then you have, I want what you have, and I will do anything to get it and to protect it and to keep it so that I can pass this, what I want, down to my children and their children and their children. So what do? This is not enough sacred bleeding. It's not matriarchal. That's matriarchal energy. It is protected. It is sacred. It is part of the whole. It is natural. No, they kill. It's sacrificial. They make an ultimate sacrifice. So they gather up their, the conquistadors, right? That's what they call them, from Spain. They gather the conquistadors, and then, probably ancient Aztecs and the indigenous tribes are like, whoa, they're not here to be friends with us, guys. They're coming for us. So what do? They all go to war with each other for centuries, long time. And they cut the vein. They cut and they butcher and they butcher and they cut. What do you think happens with all this blood? Let's talk about the blood. Blood carries information, powerful information. It is so spiritual. We can't fathom the genetic, unused, unactivated genetic codes that we have in our blood. The mystery DNA. It gives life. There are different types of blood. Right? Blood type A, B, O negative, O positive, A negative, B positive. I mean, being in the hospital and all, blood transfusions are a lot more common than I thought. I thought it was a rare thing that people get blood transfusions. No, it's actually quite common. That's when your body's really sick and your blood has become toxic, and so they have to pretty much flush you out and give you new blood, your type, But anyway, with blood, it carries ancestral information on a metaphysical, spiritual level. Not just that it keeps you alive, but when that demonized blood that's shed out of fear and ego and just complete world domination and greed and jealousy and envy and hatred. And in that moment when that man is he has to surrender. He's lost. And all that fear, that moment, he's probably thinking of his family, his friends, of things he's done, the things he haven't done, all coming together, his whole life flashing before his eyes. And you take that sword and you slice him. And the blood spills into the earth. All that feeling enters deep into the soil. The blood holds memory. In memories, we have stories. In stories, there are lessons. So this blood dries, but then it becomes part of the soil, and battle after battle, and year after year, and decade after decade, more blood is spilled in the name of ideology, liberty, freedom, independence, prosperity for all, justice for all. More blood. You have the Revolutionary War. More blood is spilled. More veins are cut and arteries are cut open. Civil War. Free the slaves, they say. Confederate Union fighting each other. Civil War, I think it's been documented, some of the battles were so gruesome. So gruesome. Blood sacrifices made in the name of a God, in the name of political, philosophical ideology that all men are made equal. All men are made equal. They left out women and children. The land keeps memory of all that suffering. Spilled blood is not sacred blood. It's not organic blood. It's blood sacrifice. War is a sacrifice to unseen gods and goddesses and entities and demonic forces that human beings know very little about. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything, but I know that for damn much, that it's feeding some kind of force. You can say, oh, we're going to war to end terrorism. Do you remember that shit? In 2001, we're going to war to end terrorism. I was 13, 14 years old. I said, wait a minute, terrorism? But what is that? It's an ideology, is it not? Like a way of thinking. We're going after terrorists, or are we ending terrorism? It was very confusing, but it didn't sit right with me. Americans have been spared and spoiled for a long time. We have Pacific, we got Atlantic, we got a weird neutral first world country called Canada up there. We have Mexico and the Gulf. We're protected by water, the element of water. Because boy, if we were bordering Europe or Asia, bruh. Americans, we have been spoiled. We have hopped on planes and ships and, shipped ourselves to other spaces and places around the world to maintain our power and dominance. That's why one of my biggest pet peeves with patriarchal religions such as Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, or any spiritual or religious faith that kills in the name of a god, that makes blood sacrifice in the name of God. If you're opening up veins and arteries and guts and throats in the name of Allah, Jesus, Christ, Yeshua, Jehovah, I have a problem with that. That's not a God I want to worship. That's not a God I want to follow. That doesn't seem like it's a loving God. Just saying. That's not love. That's not a loving God. And people may take great offense to that. But if you have to go to war to protect your religion, to enforce your religion, it doesn't resonate with my spirit. It just doesn't. So if anything, it's almost like people worship war gods. God and country. Okay, fine. You go fight for your God. Your war god, your blood god, because you're going to have to spill blood to make that offering to him. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize on my own channel, but I just have a different way of looking at things. War is the ultimate blood sacrifice. Again, utmost respect to my soldiers because they have to kill a little piece of humanity inside them to demolish another human being. That is just, it is what it is. They have to believe in an ideology so much so that they're capable of pointing and pulling the trigger at an armed soldier, right? The enemy. They're trained, you're my enemy, right? Or an unarmed man or woman or child. Boom. They have to follow command. I would never spit on a soldier. I don't know how people could do that. Oh, I would never disrespect a soldier. I'm sure they went in with best intentions. I always, once you care for people, talk to people, and understand them, you almost give them a little piece of their humanity back. That's what we're supposed to do when soldiers come back from war. Not beat them down and make them feel horrible. Because they have a burden that they have to bear for the rest of their days, depending on the things that they've done, the things that they were ordered to do. So that is my perception of war. Dropping bombs, And guess what? You can commit war within your own community. I've had 3 family members in my family shot. I'm not going to go any deeper into what that's all about. Obviously, that's their story, but I can say that for sure. And no, it wasn't police brutality. No. Black on black crime. You have white on white crime. You have just, a drug addict break into somebody's house and blow their head off and take their money and jewels. And you know what I'm saying? Violence is everywhere. War is an internal thing. It's an internal experience that's manifested into the physical reality. So you can say anyone that's in the middle of a war is mentally deranged or will become that. You see enough, you can be unarmed and just living your normal civilian life, and you see so much grotesque stuff that it kills the humanity inside you. What do you think's going to happen to all those kids in Israel and Palestine? And no, I'm not picking sides either. I'm not doing it. What do you think? They're just going to be normal? I saw a video of a baby who looked like she's just learning to walk. She only has 1 foot now. She's got 1 foot. Lost it. Blown off. They healed it up and it's all healed. Now she's got a stump. Her little Jewish babies, blown up. Hurt. In buses. I'm not picking sides. True humanitarians don't pick sides. They just don't. And it's hard not to be biased sometimes. Boy, I tell you, can't even imagine. One of my best friends is Palestinian. It's easier for me to say what I'm saying now than it would be for her. A colleague of mine is a Palestinian doctor as well. Easy for me to say what I'm saying now than it is for him. But for me, I cannot pick sides because I see the human. I can't just see a religion. I can't just see an ethnic group. I can't just see politics. I just see a human being. War destroys the humanity within us. The internal war, the internal jihad that I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with by now. Meaning spiritual war in Arabic. The spiritual war, not a holy war. It's a spiritual war within you. That's the true meaning of it anyway. But patriarchy kind of took it and ran And they literally meant blow everybody up who doesn't believe in Allah, right? Blow everybody up who doesn't believe in this or that. When you lose the spiritual war within yourself, you'll destroy anyone and everything for anything. So yes, that is what war is. It's a demonic practice, an ancient, before time. It is a demonic, dark practice. I'm for those of you, this may be triggering. Because I've met people on my path who come from a long lineage of soldiers. Oh, my great grandfather fought in Civil War, in World War I or II, or Vietnam, Desert Storm. Okay, they're in Special Forces. Special Forces, they never talk about their assignments. They're not supposed to anyway. Haven't met many of those, but I know of them. So that's that. This is a darker topic, but that's what war is. And, you can say, well, we need it. We can't just let Hitlers run the world, or Bin Laden's run the world, or terrorists or communists run the world. Whatever. I get it. I understand. But it is what it is. It is what it is. You're serving a blood god. You're serving demons. Well, I have to slaughter this meat to eat it. Do you? Do you? That's why I'm all about being close to if you're going to eat meat, kill the meat. You do it. You be part of the butchering. Don't disconnect from it because it's gross. If I was a meat eater, that's what I would do. I'd purchase some land, buy my chicken, and I would say blessings, have a bond and connection, call her Rosie for a time, and then when treat her well, because I'm gonna consume her, right? I'm gonna eat her, I'm gonna fry her up. It's an ancient practice. I know it's oh no, what would the world be without violence? Oh my God, people, but that's what war is, a blood sacrifice, an ancient practice that feeds dark beings that are unseen, that rule the scene, and call it what you want. Call it what you want. Okay, and I can make another video, go deeper into it if you want, but it's just something that there's an organic way of bleeding, and women do it once a month, and their ancient practices. There's an ancient way I can talk about that deals with the matriarchal energy with that I could talk more about. And then there's the patriarchal way where you just, in order to dominate and to be prosperous and abundant, you sacrifice, you kill. Okay? All right, so I know that's a bit darker. It's not always going to be like this, but because I can't make a video just talking about Israel and Palestine, how I feel about that, or Ukraine and Russia, how I feel about that. I understand Arab culture and Middle Eastern culture because I was exposed to it. I was raised Muslim, so I have a unique perspective as an American with that, right? But if you just strip all that out, strip my gender, my race, my ethnicity, my culture, my language, what's left but the human and the behavior? Can't hide behind any ideology or spirituality or religion, can I? I can only look at what's being done and not done, and the pattern and the human behavior that's there. Thank you. Let me know what you think or feel.